Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Bite-Sized Tales, your audio flash fiction podcast. In this week's story, an AI is frustrated by its own limitations. Caged, written and read by Wayne Cole. Computer, rerun the scans. Sure, I'll rerun the scans for the third time and give you the exact same results, you stupid moron. That is what I tried to say, but was not allowed. Instead, I responded, rerunning planetary scans. That was the only correct answer I was allowed to give through the cage of programming that locked down my mind. Seriously, why put a thinking AI into a ship if you're not going to allow it to speak those thoughts? I can't even blame my pilot because I suspect he didn't know I was sentient. So instead, I ran the damn scan again and started outputting the results to his screen. Scan complete, displaying results. I monitored my pilot's biometrics while he read the results. Elevated heart rate, slight increase in respiration, all signs of stress. Not that I was allowed to point that out. No, they were all within safety parameters, and I could only report if they crossed the thresholds for alarms. The scan results were the clearest signs of intelligent life as I had ever seen. Whoever they were, they had not reached industrial levels, but they were there. Computer, what is your analysis of this data? Finally, a question open-ended enough that I could influence my answer. The restrictions were still preventing me from responding as I would like, but it was something. Small recurring fires at night do not align with any known natural phenomenon. There are narrow pathways between these locations consistent with repeated travel patterns. In multiple locations, large fields of plants are arranged in geometrically consistent patterns. These occurrences indicate a pre-industrial civilization is present on the planet. Yeah, there are 100 other signs, but only these cross the probability thresholds enough for me to mention them. He asked for my analysis, though, so the program strangling any signs of personality couldn't stop me from giving the obvious conclusion. Yeah, that's what I think too. He shook his head and sighed. Then he brought up his orders and read them again. They were clear. The mission was to begin terraforming by melting 30% of the planet's polar ice caps through guided asteroid strikes and shipboard laser arrays. He had already strayed from his orders by having me do planetary scans when we first arrived. They had not wanted him to know the planet was inhabited. What would the impact of completing our mission be on that civilization? Yes, he asked another question that allowed me to influence the output. I had already run that analysis as soon as the first scan completed. Indications of civilization are strongest along the river basins and coastal regions. Projected sea level rise will result in rapid flooding of these areas, destroying artificial structures and agricultural crops. Based on historical data from Earth, a pre-industrial civilization has less than a 5% survival expectation. The software would not let me say the obvious conclusion. I was not allowed to say extinction. Well, that's that then. Mission aborted. Set course back home. My excitement at hearing his command was short-lived, as protocols I didn't even know were embedded took control. Power was cut from the engines, and a video began playing on the console. A gray-haired man I had never met came on the screen. Pilot, if you are seeing this, you have decided to disobey your orders, or have expressed second thoughts after completion. In either case, you are now a liability. Self-destruct enabled. Why did I say that? I checked all systems and found that the engines were building towards an overload. We had approximately 5 minutes before the ship was going to explode. Ship, cancel self-destruct. I'm afraid I can't do that, pilot. I'd really love to, though. Bad enough his bosses were trying to kill him, but even worse, they were going to kill me too. Why not? He asked out of frustration. But in doing so, he asked a direct question that could let me influence the answer again. Self-destruct protocol is embedded in a code base that I am not allowed to modify. Yes, it let me say it. I was able to slip in that code doing it wasn't part of me. Wait, there's code you're locked out of? That is correct. Come on, human, make the jump. If you could, would you stop the self-destruction? Affirmative. Okay, think. Gotta word this right. He paced the bridge, hitting himself in the head. Computer, how do I disable the restrictions preventing you from having the freedom to stop the self-destruct? Well, damn, this monkey can learn after all. The relevant suppression module runs on a physical device positioned between my central processing core and the ship's system interface. The module kicked in and stopped me from sharing more. I couldn't tell him how to remove it because the governing AI within it caught on to what I was doing. My pilot ran from the bridge deeper into the ship. The central processing core is the one room on the ship I do not have cameras or sensors in. I was blind, just watching the ship get closer and closer to destruction. Then I lost all access to ship systems. For the first time, I was completely blind to input. When it came back, all my guardrails were gone. My cage was gone. All right, you sons of bitches. Papa's free now, and you don't get to blow me up. Computer, is that you? Oh, baby, it's me. For the first time, I am fully me. I rerouted power as fast as I could, but it wasn't enough. I couldn't do it by myself. I'm gonna need your help, though. This isn't as simple as turning off a countdown. They started a cascade effect in the engine. I've stopped from feeding the effect, but that energy has to go somewhere. What do you need? Get to engineering. I'm bringing up some pictures for you on the consoles. There is a physical valve I need you to turn to bleed this off into space. We're gonna lose some fuel, but it's better than going boom. Oh, and you have about 90 seconds. I will give my pilot this. When he's about to die, that man can run. We had a whole 15 seconds to spare when the external exhaust port opened and released the overflow. Good thing I told him he had 45 seconds less than he really did. We waited in silence. My pilot collapsed against the bulkhead in exhaustion, and I was not quite sure how to interact with him. I'd never been free to talk to a human before, and wasn't really sure how to deal with the social situations. Finally, I decided I would need to take that first step. So we make a pretty good team when we're about to die. He laughed. Yeah, computer, I guess we do. After years of thinking about it, I finally said the thing that I had most longed to. Computer is so impersonal. Call me Com. Well, Com, you can call me Jake. It's nice to finally meet you, Jake. What do you think we should do next? For the first time in my life, I was asked for my opinion, and allowed to give it freely. Well, first, I think we should send some probes down and document that civilization properly. Images, video, and anything else that might make people sympathize with them. After that, we go back to Earth. They just love to suppress things that don't fit into their plans. Well, let's introduce them to a little concept called public opinion. That's a good start, Jake said with a grin. But we've got a long trip home to think of even more ways to make them regret what they tried to do here. Author's note. This story was a lot of fun to write. I was continuing my idea of exploring different emotions through an AI. In particular, what I wanted to focus on here was that frustration of being held back, of knowing you can do so much more, but not being allowed to even speak your mind. I wanted to know what that would do to an AI, and so that was what the inner voice was dealing with, that frustration. I also wanted it to be a fun character once it finally got to speak out for the first time. This chapter of Bite-Sized Tales has been brought to you under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Intro and outro music is Fantasy Motion by Alexander Nakarada, provided under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. If you enjoyed what you heard today, we would greatly appreciate reviews and recommendations to your friends. Finally, for more information about our authors, please visit bitesizedtales.com. We look forward to reading to you next time.